vessel, or you can exit through the sliding windows. The upper deck is easily accessible by steps on each side of the reception lobby. In the unlikely event of an emergency, the captain will give you full
around the vessel. This includes, if you require audio guides in another language, we have 8 other languages for you to choose from. We have Spanish, French, Italian, Russian, German, Mandarin, Japanese and Dutch. So if you want a commentary in one of those languages, do go and see my colleague Ian, who will be downstairs. So, we're going to begin our cruise. Today it's Sid at the helm, our captain, with the engineer and first mate, Phil. Now, for a very safe and I would like to issue a few extra bits to the safety announcement, which are as follows. There's no smoking on board this vessel. Any mobile phones that you do have, please do turn them off or to silence for the courtesy of the other passengers on board today. Your upper deck is easily accessible to the lower deck via the stairs either side of the lobby. But for your own personal safety, we will ask you to remain seated throughout the majority of this cruise. If you're on the upper deck, do remain seated, as standing will obstruct the captain's view line. So we begin our cruise by passing by the Houses of Parliament, which are many centuries old if you go back to their original history as a palace. Yes, there were palaces on this site. There have been palaces here for many years. So originally there would have been a palace here in the 1000s founded by Edward the Confessor, and it was in fact on an island. This is when the area was broken up into little sections by rivers and streams, and it would have actually been pretty much marshland here. But times have changed and many things have changed in this area. Many buildings have grown up in this area. Well, most of them were palaces up until a point. Up until 1512, in fact, when there was a massive fire in 1512 during the reign of Henry VIII, and it was after that the buildings really stopped being palaces because no king or queen officially lived there after that point in time. It was from then on that government really took these buildings as their official residences and for their use. So this area became used by the government as these buildings, and these ones actually date back to 1860, when there was a fire in 1834 that burnt down the majority of these buildings. Now I'll talk about these buildings in a moment when we have turned around. We are looking at Lambeth Bridge ahead of us, which is named after the area of Lambeth to our left-hand side. And there we have Lambeth Palace to the left. The sandy coloured buildings behind here are mainly Victorian Gothic buildings, but a lot of this does date back much further. Well, a bit of this dates back to older times than the Victorian period. The Grey Tower itself dates back to the 1400s, that is the Monarch's Tower. Now as we turn, we have a view of Westminster Bridge out to our left-hand side, and the London Eye at 135 metres tall. The London Eye is the largest cantilever observation wheel in the world, supported only by one side, the London Eye. On the left, of course, the Houses of Parliament again. On the right, we now have St Thomas's Hospital, where we have the 3 red brick wards, the original Nightingale wards, of which there were once 7 here. 4 of the wards were sadly destroyed due to the Second World War and the Blitz, because this area was used as a target for the Houses of Parliament during the Blitz. Houses of Parliament actually got a direct hit as well. Now, let's look at these Victorian Gothic buildings that we have. Houses of Parliament, massive fire in 1834, causing this building to be built, which was finished in 1860. You have at the far end here with the flag flying from the top, Victoria Tower, named after Queen Victoria, in whose reign this building was constructed. In the middle of this building you have the aptly named Central Tower, and to the far end you have the Clock Tower. And the Clock Tower was called simply the Clock Tower up until last year, when it was renamed the Queen Elizabeth II Tower after our current, named after Benjamin Hall, who was the Chief Commissioner of the works of the tower back in 1860 when the tower was completed. Benjamin Hall was a rather large fellow. He was a good 6 foot tall and a good 20 stone in weight, so he was massive. He looked a bit like a bell, they said, so the workers ended up naming it after him. Benjamin Moore. Oh, really, his name wasn't Richard, that's what I've got to say. Now we're going to head underneath Westminster Bridge. London Bridge. So I'd just like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that we do try and not have too many people standing up here on the upper deck, so those of you at the front do take a photo very quickly and sit back down, or we don't want to obstruct in the captain's view. Thank you. On the right hand side, County Hall, which was once home to the Greater London Council. They were disbanded by the late Margaret Thatcher. They were disbanded in 1986. This building was then sold to a Japanese landlord who now runs it. Well, there are many different attractions inside here that he's allowed in, especially Merlin Entertainment's attractions. Take a look at, for instance, the aquarium here, the London Dungeons, and on the edge actually the ticket hall for the London Eye, where there's also a 4D cinema inside there. Now we have the London Eye. Here it is. Like I said, 135 metres above London. You'll notice the orange capsule going towards the bottom there. The orange capsule is the EDF Energy capsule. They sponsor the London Eye and their corporate colour is orange. That's how you get the orange capsule from. Continue that sponsorship is yet to win. Over on our left-hand side, we have the wonderful court mansions over here on the left-hand side. These pointy roof buildings, this is a building model on a French chateau, in fact, and it houses offices, apartments, and a hotel inside here, the Royal Horse Guards Hotel. Beautiful building. Wonderful piece of, like it's in the French style, but actually in the Victorian period. From space recently, landed upside down, comes from the planet of the giant purple cows. It is opened in the year 2003. A year later than they're meant to, because an unexploded Second World War bomb was found on the bottom of the Thames, which caused the works to be delayed. On the right hand side we have the Royal Festival Hall, which was put here for the Festival of Britain in 1951, a post-war celebration to cheer everyone's hopes up during these rather difficult times of the Second World War. Big festival happening over here. So you have the Royal Festival Hall, you have the Queen Elizabeth Hall, the Purcell Room, the Hayward Art Gallery behind here, many buildings devoted to the arts. This fantastic centre for many different shows and performances, art exhibitions. And right at the top of the buildings here, well, we've had some very bad weather recently here in London, where a houseboat got washed up on top of the buildings here in a freak tornado the other day, so hold on to your hats. Of course I'm joking, that boat has been purposely put up on top of those buildings as an art installation and hotel. How did they get up there? There's some people on top of there yet. There must be a staircase up there. Anyway, we head underneath Waterloo Bridge, named after the Battle of Waterloo, where Wellington defeated Napoleon in 1815, of course, at the Battle of Waterloo, not on the bridge. And then on the right-hand side you have the National Theatre, commonly mistaken by most people for a multi-storey car park. In other words, it ain't very pretty. Prince Charles said he thought it looked like a nuclear power station when he first saw it. So it may not be all that attractive on the outside, but on the inside it is rather wonderful. A beautiful theatre on the inside. That's the most important thing, so what's on the inside that counts. So we are going to head by London Studios over on our right hand side next. London Studios, the White Tower, the building in front of it with the glass frontage. This is where they film some of the most educational TV programmes known to man. Such programmes as Daybreak, This Morning, Loose Women, Take Me Out, Alan Carr's Chatty Man, and many more. Well, what do we have next on our wonderful cruise? What wonders can I show you? Well, if you look to your right hand side, right now you'll see an area that is very popular during the summer months. People flock from all over the world to visit our 5-star beach resort. Look at that. Wow. The wonderful golden sands of London. No sunbathers, I wonder why. Continuing along from here, you have the Oxo building, the red brick building with the tower on it. Let's talk about that in a moment, shall we? The building itself used to be the meat production and packing warehouse for the Oxo stock unit. Is now home to shops and offices on the bottom, in the middle, apartments at the top, a restaurant, bar and brasserie, and right slap bang there on top of the tower, on top of the building, the tower, the Oxo tower, that you'd think would be advertising for the Oxo stock cube. Well, you'd imagine it is. Not advertising for the Oxo stock cube. According to the company responsible for the Oxo stock cube, it's a series of random geometrical shapes that they put up there to look pretty. Suspicious? I think so. We continue our journey towards Blackfriars Road Bridge. On the left-hand side we have a wonderful, magnificent view of St. Paul's Cathedral. It is 365 feet high. That is 1 foot for every day in the year. That is 111 metres if you want to know it in the metric. The highest point you can go to 83 metres above the blue-grey dome, the Golden Gallery. And above the columns, the Stone Gallery. You have the stone balustrade. So we're going to head through Blackfriars, underneath Blackfriars Road Bridge, and then we're going to head underneath what used to be Alexandria Railway Bridge, but is now Blackfriars Railway Station. And in between these two bridges, some red columns, which once supported a steam railway bridge that took the first steam trains across the River Thames. It was needed back in the 1920s. They closed it down until the 1980s. When they tried to pull it down, they managed to get rid of the top part, came to the columns, and realised the columns would have taken dynamite to blow them up. It would have blown the bridges either side. So they ended up leaving the columns there and painted them red, just so it was